just get a very broad spectrum of experiences. You go to school and you think, this is what I want to do, and get a taste of everything. I thought I wanted to be in advertising. I did advertising for a little bit. I hated it. I thought I wanted to be a magazine journalist. I did an internship while I was here in graduate school at a magazine company. I really hated it. So eventually, by experiencing a number of different things, I found PR was really my sweet spot. And to be specific, I found crisis communications was what I really loved. And I think that's terribly important. Find what you love. You don't always know right out of the gate. I had what is not an unusual connection. A lot of times, my grandparents lived here just right off the Grove. My dad grew up here and walked to school and walked to law school here, so I had that piece of it. But after I attended, what I didn't know that I discovered while I was here, and I probably should have known, but Ole Miss is just such a great communication school. There is a different intangible buzz about it that is just invaluable. I don't know if it's part of where it is, that it's in Oxford. I don't know. It's obviously the great professionals that we've hired to teach here. But there is something intangible about the communication expertise that you pick up here. And I think then, like I said, where we are, it's draped in this history and just culture of great writers and communication. And I do believe that at the end of the day, that comes out in the students that attend here, because you get the opportunity just to soak that up beyond what you just get in a classroom. Especially for entry level, it has to show that you know how to have a job and that you've had a job. And I have a criteria that I expect to see in someone who's coming in new into a career, that they've done something. They've worked in high school or college. Doesn't have to be both. Don't have time a lot of times in either. And it doesn't have to be much. It may be waiting tables. I mowed lawns, but I worked in retail also while I was in college. But it shows they know how to hold a job, have a job, and that they're doers. That they work. If someone wants to get into corporate communications, it's typically, to be the most successful, it's not something you jump directly into it at a company. There are a number of things that you can do as entry-level jobs that are way more valuable than if you did that, because they'll give you skills that you'll use your entire career. For example, being a reporter. I don't mean being a reporter for a long, long time. I have someone on my team who is what I would consider an absolute superstar media relations practitioner and corporate communications practitioner. She was a reporter and a producer for about 3 years at small local TV stations. But she has the credibility and the knowledge of how that world works, how to work quickly and how to work fast. Another great place, a great proving ground and a place to get your feet wet is at an agency. It doesn't have to be a public relations agency, but a communications agency. We get a lot of good people from those areas as well. Beyond that, in terms of the skills, the tactical skills, you're getting those here at Ole Miss. That's why you're here. Just be thoughtful about taking those things that you've learned here and now going and put those into the practical world. And don't expect the first job to be your lifetime job. You don't have to look at it that way. Again, try looking at getting a varied experience across a number of different things. will serve you extremely well in your career for years to come. I think that the biggest challenge you deal with depends on the organization you work with, the type of organization it is. For us at Home Depot, it's internal communications. It's not the external piece so much. The reason being, we have 500,000 employees, and just to reach that frontline employee, that frontline hourly associate, which is what we call our employees, it's by far the biggest challenge that I deal with, and that the team deals with overall. In terms of the most exciting part, I think it is the difference that a communications organization makes across the entire company and beyond the company. It's the difference that we can make in our communities as well, the difference for our shareholders and investors. And by the way, shareholders and investors in the large companies, those are made up of pension funds for teacher retirement programs and frontline hourly workers, 401ks and things like that. So you're making a difference really in a very large way across huge populations beyond just the company or just beyond your department. I wouldn't exactly qualify my role at UPS as a leadership role, but I was a manager there, which is a good role. It's a good title, but it certainly wasn't senior leadership. One of my biggest lessons I learned was at UPS while I was there, and it is when you find somebody, you see someone and you admire what they're doing and how they do it, pay attention, get to know them, listen to them, and learn from them. I have a mentor, a guy named Norman Black, who was the director of National Media Relations at UPS. And I learned so much from him that I put into practice literally every day. And in terms of media relations is where I learned that, and how to be a better writer. He was an AP reporter for 20 years, covered the Pentagon. But I would hear him, it's the value too of everyone thinks they want an office, and it's the value as well of having a cube. Because at UPS, most everybody were in cubes. And I was in a cube nearby Norman, and I could hear him talking to reporters. I soaked it up, I listened, I learned from that. And it's been invaluable. Branded merchandise, or anything that has the Home Depot logo on it. We typically are using those internally for our associates, employees, although you can buy it online. But caps and t-shirts and mugs and all those sort of things. You go, yeah, that's nice to have, and that's some cool stuff, and we can have gifts to give out and reward people and that sort of thing across the company. But the reality is, it's about engagement. It's about employee engagement. So when I asked the team about performance of our branded merchandise, they laughed. The first meeting we went into, they were giving me their sales figures, their sales revenue, and I was like, I don't care about revenue. I don't care at all about revenue. I want to know about transactions. What's your transaction count? What's the transaction growth? Because each one of those transactions is an engagement with one of our associates. That's what it's about. It's about building that pride. Just like you have at Ole Miss, where you want that Ole Miss t-shirt and the cap and the mugs and all those things. It's about pride. It's about engagement and connectivity with that brand. So that's the bottom line purpose of branded merchandise. Favorite part of my job is a great example of why getting a variety of experiences and is so important. So 5-6 years ago, when my one of the other VPs of corporate communication and external affairs, one of my predecessors left, I was asked why, or I assume they're going to give you that job, Steve. And I was like, oh, I don't want that job. I don't want to do that events stuff because I have an events team that puts on massive meetings for the company. And I thought, I don't really have the knowledge to have responsibility as well for the Home Depot Foundation and all of our external community work and all of those things. And I thought, it's just, I'm not that interested in it. And maybe not, what I should do. Well, then it came around a second time and I was asked, do you want this job? Do you want to interview for this job? And I was like, okay, I'll do it. They made me interim and I served as interim. So I go back to getting that variety of experience. What I discovered in taking on the additional responsibility was that the very parts that I thought I would not enjoy are what I enjoy the most. I love the events team and putting on our store manager meeting. It is so exciting when you're there. We just had it a few weeks ago. And then how do you, when you look at the scope of responsibility for for our function, which spans far beyond just communication, how do you manage it all? How do you do it? I have great leaders that report to me. So I have an executive director of the Home Depot Foundation. She is amazing, knows every detail, is just on top of everything. An incredible leader for the events team, an amazing leader for corporate communications, an amazing leader for brand communications, an amazing leader over the team that has all our broadcast and digital communications as well. So that's the key, having great people around you that they're smarter than you, and I try to stay out of their way as much as I can and be there to support them and serve them to help them do their job well. That's how you do it.